Well, Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to our first show of 2025. It's Between the Horns, presented by your Southern California Toyota dealers, and it is home to the 2024 NFC West champions with Stu Jackson and DeMarco Farr. I am JB Long, wishing you a very safe, happy, prosperous new year. How you guys doing?
Good. I'd love that. Division champs, unbelievable. Can you really believe it? We're sitting here as division champs. Unreal.
Can you?
It's quite the remarkable turnaround, I will say. Things were looking tough at first.
Yeah.
But never count out this group, especially under Sean McVay.
And speaking of, how about the fact that in his 8 seasons, he's won the NFC West in half of them? Like, Sean McVay has won as many division titles as the rest of the West combined since he showed up in 2017.
Wow. That's so funny. One of the things we're going to talk about on this show is, like, what is the favorite season? How did we rank this one? His first year in 2017 still stands out as the best because of the drought in between, how long it took to get back to number one. And I remember all the talk about him. He's too young. He's too this. He's too that. But since then, it's been nothing but winning and nothing but great. So for Rams fans, this is your best era of all time. This might be your greatest coach of all time. So what he's done this year, nothing short of miraculous, but his whole run has been unbelievable.
I love that you did that. There's no script to this show. This is just recycling. You brought it up. We're going there right now. Stu, what is Sean McVay's best season?
I might put this one up there. I mean, again, from my experience, I've been with the team since 2019, so that's really the point of reference I have as far as, like, really closely following this team and whatnot. But, for me, just thinking about the injuries that this group had to overcome, that he and this coaching staff had to overcome when they started 1-4, especially on the offensive line, especially for the extended stretch that they were without Puka and Cooper. Like, again, from my frame of reference, like, I can't think of a season other than, again, kind of the 2022 year where there was just an unlucky rash of injuries where you deal with that many setbacks and still, once everybody gets back healthy and once you find a semblance of continuity, win 9 of 11, 5 straight, to become division champions. Like, there's something to be said for that.
We should stipulate that how this season will be remembered is still to be determined.
Oh, right. No doubt.
This could,
yeah.
This could elevate to his best season in a hurry.
I said it's a good story, 1-4 to division champs. You want to make this story great. You want to make this song from gold to platinum. You got to win in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Then you will never stop talking about this. Right now, it's something that's fun. It's a blurb across the headline. But if you win in the playoffs, boom, everybody will be talking about it.
So here's how I answered this question, and you pick it apart. 21 best. You got the Lombardi.
Right.
Most impressive, I was between 2018 and last year.
Okay.
In terms of the rocket ship that was the 18 offense, and then just how unexpected and enjoyable what he did with what was perceived to be so little last year.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I would start for now as a placeholder by calling 24 his most complete season, where he became, a CEO-like head coach. His imprint is on all 3 phases of the organization. X's and O's, leadership, staying in the fight, all of that.
Okay, so 18 was Super Bowl loss to New England, right? I mean, that team was fantastic.
Right.
I mean, as a old D lineman, that was my favorite year. That's Sue and Donald on the same D line. That was great. 2021, same thing. I mean, this year, to go from 1-4 with a young defense and with an offensive line that you constantly had to fix and change and rotate, and you're trying to figure out how to get things done. To not let go of the rope, and because we do the coaches show, well, sometimes me and him.
We miss you, buddy.
I do miss you, but to sit here and listen to him every day or during that 1-4 stretch, and even going back to last season, just never let go of the rope. Not even seem like he got to the end of the rope. It's just there's this relentless positivity or this relentless drive towards winning. You knew he's going to get it right. They're going to get it right. And I never thought it would be this type of run, 5-0 or whatever, but you knew this team was never going to stop fighting, and they keep finding ways to win, and it's all because of that culture he's created when he got here in the first place.
Let me ask you something, because I think fiery pregame or halftime speeches are probably overrated in football lore. But what I don't think is overrated is when you have a man who can stand in front of a room and say, you've got 39 days guaranteed left. What do you want to make of them? Can I get your buy-in? And this happens. There's got to be something to that, DeMarco, from your player standpoint.
There's a lot of rah-rah. We've heard rah-rah. Guys come up with the great slogans or whatever. They read it in some book and they bring it to the team and it's, yeah. But when a guy can look you in the eye and look you right in the soul and take you back to Pop Warner football, to why you're playing this game in the first place. And it's not just BS. It's real. I mean, this is how he feels about it. This is how he feels about you. And this is why we say, the culture on winning teams is different. It's because of Coach McVay and guys like him. So, and not just him, the entire coaching staff and the players have bought in. So when we talk about not letting go of the rope, it's everybody, but it starts with him. And you can tell from every man on this roster, they're all pulling in the same direction. So no shock to me that they wound up being division champs.
Well, here's where I think it starts and ends with him. Is remember 2 years ago, not even 2 full years ago, when management pens an open letter to the fan base saying, hey, we know what this has been. It's going to change. We're going to have to make some hard decisions. We got to get our books in order. Bear with us. We still want to be competitive, but it's going to look and feel different. Okay, since that letter, 10 wins in a playoff spot, 10, maybe 11 wins in a division title. That's because of lots of things, but Sean McVay's at the top of that list. And then I'll also say, how about Les Snead and his group to draft and develop, how should we say, the last 2.5 defensive rookies of the year?
Wow.
I mean, like Kobe Turner is going to go down in my memory bank as the 23 winner. Jared Verse, I think, has clinched this year's, but his running mate, Braden Fisk, equally deserving.
Yeah, you think about, especially on the defensive side of the ball, the production they've gotten from the rookies. This was something I found the other day, but 13 sacks is the most by rookies of any team in the league, at least entering Week 18. 8 interceptions, that's tied for the most with Houston, again, specific to rookies, and also entering Week 18. So, from the standpoint of, no, you're not going to replace Aaron Donald, but in the aggregate, you're going to at least try. Like, they've done pretty well in that regard.
Another perfect name to drop. In the midst of all that, you retired the greatest player in franchise history, and Puka Nacua set rookie records. And you got coaches hired and promoted here and around the league. It's stunning. Let's get to where the Rams are competitively as we both look ahead to Wild Card Weekend and look back on Week 17 and another gritty win against the Arizona Cardinals. DeMarco, you steer here. Take us anywhere you want to go in terms of where your mind has wandered since the Rams clinched.
Gritty is a good word for that win, wouldn't you say? Gritty, tough.
Or the season.
The whole season, but just that game, I guess, in a microcosm. Arizona's defense, I dare you, let's watch that tape. Show me one below-average play on that defense. So there was tough sledding out there, and you had to make plays. You had to have things happen, and Puka Nacua continues to come up big for this football team. And on the other side, I'm glad you mentioned those three guys, Kobe Turner and Fisk and Verse. They're like termites out there. I mean, they just drill into your offensive line and they just destroy your foundation. Jared Verse, to my count, has hurt people, not just quarterbacks. I'm talking the guys that are blocking him. They get beat up playing against him, and Fisk has been nothing but special. But Kobe Turner, his rise into year 2 as not only a good football player, but also as one of the team's leaders on defense, has been exemplary. So gritty, you make plays when you have to, big plays when you need to, and you do just enough to, keep your team in the black. So it's a gritty victory. I'm sure people want, a more of a style point win, or it's got to look a little pretty, but I don't think this team cares. It's get the W and move on to next week. So gritty win. I think all this is going to help you moving forward going into the postseason.
It's the tough earned yards from Kyren Williams for me. Just the way they've been able to consistently lean on him during this stretch and being able to stay ahead of the chains. And in some cases when, they're not getting what they want to out of the passing game, or when other teams' defenses are taking that away, the teams that are, most successful and able to make deep runs into the postseason are able to consistently rely on that ground game. And that's something that's been a positive.
How the heck does he not make the Pro Bowl?
Kyren?
Yes.
Good question.
Please tell me. I asked you that when you were on the show. He third best back in the league. Fair enough. When they talk about those other two star backs, his face is right there. How does he not make the Pro Bowl?
My answer then and my answer now is there aren't 3 backs that I love more for the
Fair
Los
enough.
Angeles Rams. But
it's funny how it moves, right? So the other backs, they're more flashy, long runs. Okay, so let's go back to DTs. Doesn't Fisk have more sacks than almost every Pro Bowler out there? So does Kobe Turner. So flashy matters here, but not there.
So at the end of the show, we're going to talk about our fondest memories. No. Keep the soapbox out. That's what this show is for. But at the end of the show, we'll talk about our fondest memories of 24 and some New Year's resolutions for the Rams in 25. Kyren's atop that list for me. We know his injury past has been checkered. This guy played every game and took over 300 carries. Whether or not it comes with the accolades, I think that is a unbelievable individual and organizational accomplishment that I'll remember fondly from this season. And it goes kind of hand in hand with how I feel about this team, though, which is I know a lot of our audience is frustrated with the lack of offensive production down the stretch. I'm right there with you. I had to remind myself in preparation for this show and this week, analytically, this is still a top 10 offense in the National Football League. The team that played against Buffalo is still in there. Sean McVay sat in that seat and said the best is yet to come from this offense earlier this week. But I also think it's okay to embrace the fact that this is a defensive-driven team. Whereas the offense is top 10, statistically defense is only top 20, but they have been there in the critical moments. They have made the winning plays that have allowed this to be an NFC West champion. I think what we all feel is that there's just not a ton of margin for error, at least in the regular season version of the 24 Rams. 8 of their 10 wins have been by one possession. 5 of those wins have featured multiple takeaways. That's hard to do. 3 of their wins have included a non-offensive touchdown. That's why they're here. It's not necessarily the blueprint for where they want to go. Oh, does that make sense?
Total. That's why I'm so glad they wrapped it up. Or, when Washington won, when you won the division, you can take this week off, so to speak, or rest your starters, and rest one starter in particular, Matthew Stafford. This is the reason. This is the everything. This is the most paramount guy that you have to have ready for the postseason. So. If I could change one thing or point to one thing to say why the offense has been struggling, you'd have to go back to sometimes he's inaccurate early. But he does warm up and get going. And that tells me that he may need some time to rest a little bit. This might be perfect for him. So if you get him back and gunning and he can find Cooper Kupp and he can find everyone else like he finds Puka Nacua, you'll see that Buffalo-style offense again. Right now, it's a tough, gritty, run it with Kyren. Do enough. But at some point, if you can find a way to make your quarterback a little more accurate, maybe that means rest, a little bit more rest, I think you'll see that offensive explosion that people are looking for.
He's not just a Super Bowl champion. He is the human segue, DeMarco Farr, taking us right to the crux of the matter this week, which is the privilege they've earned. The opportunity to rest, either deactivate or pull snap count back from starters. We know that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to go. Stu, what else do we know as we anticipate the Seahawks?
Yeah, they're still working through exactly who's going to rest and who's not. I mean, we do know that Rob Havenstein won't play, but again, because of his shoulder injury, it sounds like that's a blessing in disguise, just being able to have him not play anyway. But should be ready for the wild card round, which is a positive. And so we'll still see what that looks like. I mean, again, going back to the Coach McVay show earlier this week, it sounds like we'll see more of Blake Corum, which is good.
Pinball.
Yeah, and then. Beyond that, again, who knows? I'm sure there's probably a little bit of gamesmanship to that, maybe. But the other thing I'll say too is it's tricky with the roster math, if you will. When people are trying to figure out, okay, like who's going to rest, who's not. You can't sit as many people as you can in the preseason for one because you have a game day 48. 48 is the size of the game day roster, versus obviously the 90-man roster that you had to work with in the preseason, where the preseason finale, we're used to, some of those decisions being a little bit easier in terms of having a little bit deeper of a depth chart. So just some roster math like that to work through, but that's where we're at right now.
I mean, when you look at the relative age and experience difference on offense and defense, I think you can connect some dots in terms of who is and who isn't going to go. And we'll talk about who we're looking forward to seeing against the Seahawks coming up here in just a bit. But
Note Boom. Did anybody catch Note Boom doing the too small thing on the end of the screen? I saw that. I see you, Note Boom. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say I want to honor and acknowledge and respect the portion of our audience that doesn't like the concept of resting starters. And that would probably point to the playoff games the Rams have lost against the Falcons in 17 and the Lions in 23, as those being the years where the Rams had this luxury, picked this path, and it didn't work out necessarily in the preseason. I got a lot to say about that, but DeMarco, you go first. As the former player, now in the construct of a 17-game season, where are you at with respect to resting guys?
This is the smart time to rest some guys on offense. You're an older team at some positions, and frankly, some guys need a week off and to heal up. And there's some younger players that can play, and let Garoppolo take some snaps. Why not? I get both sides. If you're an offense that's clicking and you're rolling and you want to roll into the playoffs, it makes no sense to sit your players down if they're playing well. But if you're a team that needs to take a week and get guys back, then it's smart to rest your guys. Why risk them? And does it really matter going from 3 to 4? I guess we'll get to that later. Not another human segue, but I mean, you've already locked up the division. Take the rest. This is a bye week built in going into the playoffs. I think it's perfect.
Well, and Sean McVay said the other day too that seeding really didn't have much to do with these decisions, or wasn't going to be a factor. They just know that they're going to get a quality opponent regardless, based on all of those scenarios that are at play. And so, for the way I look at it as well is, with all the lessons learned in continuity this season and some of the health challenges you've faced already, the best thing for the team's continuity and keeping that streak going, as illogical as it may kind of sound, is preserving the health as much as you ostensibly can before the playoffs.
The 3 seed absolutely matters. It has built-in advantages. We've seen that in recent years. It just doesn't matter enough to prioritize it over the risk of losing a piece that can help you beat any other team in the field. And so I think the best way to maximize your winning percentage in the wild card round is to have as many of your top line guys available to minimize your injury report. And I also want to say, it's not like, DeMarco, help me out here, the Rams aren't practicing. Like, Stafford and Kyren aren't in Cabo.
No,
they're here working out. They're just they're gearing their bandwidth towards whoever's coming here on Wild Card Weekend, rather than burning it on a game plan against the Seahawks that doesn't move the needle for the team.
Physically, you get the week off on game day. You're still going to practice, but mentally, you have that little bit of a break. Think of Matthew Stafford. Everything revolves around him. He's involved in every single meeting. You get the week off, let Garoppolo take it. So I can just have that mental vacation and that physical vacation, and then, but you're still in the building. You're still helping. You become the backup quarterback. So I can't. It's nothing but positive at this point for this football team, taking that week versus the Seahawks.
I think it also matters that the bye was back in week 6. The Rams would not be here. I think we can all agree if they weren't fortunate enough to catch the earliest bye of the Sean McVay era. But the shadow side of that is they've been going for 11 straight weeks. Like, this is a well-deserved respite for some key pieces. And I would put Sean McVay at the top of that list. If he is outsourcing any part of this game plan or play calling on Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks, if he's rejuvenated, if he's devoting more time and energy to self-scouting and preparing his game plan for what it's going to take to work on Wild Card Weekend, I think that's a major attribute too.
Absolutely. And versus Arizona, and like it was versus the Jets, it's really hard when there's a good chance when you left New York, good chance we're going to make the postseason. When you're in Arizona, if we win this, good chance we're going to the postseason. So you don't want to give away too much offensively. Well, I mean, I'm sure Arizona would know that. And Buda Baker was everywhere, and you can't tell me that guy wasn't dialed into all the base stuff you were doing. So, but if this was a playoff game, I bet it would have been a little bit tougher on them to dial in on what you were trying to do. So, yeah, I mean, even for Sean McVay, like you said, to have another week to game plan, to not show anything, to keep every team guessing that you're going to face into the postseason, that's hard to do. And you get the week to kind of dial it back, or to get ahead going on to your next 4 opponents, who that might be. I think it's so important, like you said, to take a step back when you have the opportunity versus let's just plow ahead, try to keep the 3 seed if that's what we need.
Yeah, they're not naive to where their deficiencies lie. They just want to go to work on them, be in the lab here in Woodland Hills rather than putting it on display at SoFi Stadium against the Seahawks 100%. For their wild card opponent to see. All right, we don't know who next week's opponent is going to be. We have a pretty short list, though. And as we get to Week 18 and getting ready for the postseason, here are a few things I think bear watching. First, if Washington wins, the Packers' result does not matter. The Commanders are going to be the 6, the Packers the 7. So Green Bay needs a Washington loss and a Green Bay win over the Bears to flip that 6-7 seeding. If New Orleans upsets Tampa Bay, the Rams will be locked into the 3 seed before they even kick off at SoFi Stadium and will know their opponent, either Washington or Green Bay.
Oh, wow.
Otherwise, the Bucs are in line to clinch the South and will force the Rams to either win in order to get the 3 seed, or on you go.
Can't get rid of Baker, can we? He's still there. Oh, my God.
Pro Bowl snub, Baker.
Yeah. Tough kid. Yeah.
But basically, the Rams currently own the 3, and they will be the 3 with a win against Seattle or a Tampa Bay loss to New Orleans. Hopes that helps.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Stu, take it away. You've studied this a lot. What do you think? Do you have any lean in terms of which opponent would be good, bad, or otherwise for the Rams?
Well, the way Jaden Daniels has been playing of late, that Washington offense scares me a little bit. At least just, again, in seeing, some of the challenges that's presented this defense in terms of those types of quarterbacks, the way they can run and challenge, those, rush lane integrities especially.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they worry me especially. I think what Green Bay found in their run game of late, again, who knows if that identity is going to carry over into the playoffs or if that's just Matt LaFleur knowing that this is what works and this is what's has been mostly carrying us to wins and, switching so that he can switch things up and save something for the playoffs. Who knows? But any of the NFC North teams, honestly, are going to be a challenge.
And you get the NFC North opponent if you're the 4. Then you get the loser of Sunday night's finale if you're the 3, either the Commanders or the Packers.
I'm with you on Jaden Daniels. Fantastic year. Mobile quarterbacks have given this league fits. This defense definitely fits this year. So that would be fun. I mean, you're not scared of anybody, but that would be your least favorite matchup. Green Bay and the Rams. You just, again, neck and neck. They're always there with you. Go back to last year. Something happened in that game. Both teams switched. Jordan Love went to a whole new level. Here they are again. You may see them. The game I'm hoping for. I hope you get that.
The Lions?
Oh, of course. That would be so much fun because going back there twice was fun. And that was about as raucous of an atmosphere as I've ever been around. So I would like them to experience that here in SoFi if that's possible. But who cares? 3 or 4, whoever you match up with, just make sure you're playing your best football when you do kick off in the wild card.
I like the Jaden Daniels point you make. Talk about a wild card. On the one hand, to host a rookie quarterback in the playoffs, that's about as good as you can hope for. On the other hand, it's been the rawest of raw nerves for this LA team, mobile quarterbacks all season. So you're signing up for a guy who's basically a third of his production has come via scramble this season. Here's something else to watch Sunday. We know by virtue of winning the West, the Rams are going to catch a first-place schedule next year, right? So that means we already know it comes with a trip to Philadelphia to face the NFC East champion Eagles. It's going to require a trip to face the AFC North winner. We'll find out Saturday if that's Baltimore or Pittsburgh. You laugh because
you go into Philly and then you got to go take on the North. Okay, yeah, that's fun. Yeah,
and then coming to SoFi will be the NFC North winner to be decided on Sunday Night Football, right? So if I have that correct, it's very possible that the final game of the NFL regular season this weekend is going to have these implications for your Rams. The loser of that game could come to SoFi for a wild card next week. The winner of that game will come to SoFi next year for a regular season
Shouldn't
game.
it get easier if you win the division? Shouldn't you get the easier schedule?
Well,
no?
You want me to really ruin your day?
Well,
I'm going to ruin your day.
Oh, no.
The 2025 San Francisco 49ers are going to play a fourth-place schedule. Yeah.
That just ain't right. Yeah, that just ain't right.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Oh, my God. Right.
I think Jimmy Garoppolo deserves his own portion of the conversation. Don't you think? I think we've been privileged not to have to see Jimmy Garoppolo yet as a Ram, but the time has come, and it comes in the right context. Stu, you got to talk to him yesterday a little bit?
Yeah, he met with the media and got the chance to learn a little bit about just what his role behind the scenes essentially has been like, for this team this season. And the scout team role is something he's really embraced. It's been, it seemed like it's been a really positive, I guess, for lack of a better term, reset year for him in terms of just being able to be in that quarterback room with Matthew Stafford and all those coaches, which is something he talked about in their process, the way Sean McVay teaches this offense. All of those things have made for a really positive experience for him. And, he's obviously looking forward to having the chance on Sunday to, show what he's learned and what he's been able to provide this team, but now in a live game action setting.
I can't wait. The dude's got unbelievable swag. It's just funny watching him, get off the bus, go into the stadium. He looks like a starter. Where were you on Garoppolo before he came here? Because I know we have respect because all he did when he was other places was beat the Rams. I thought he was a pretty good starter. I thought he was one of the better starters in the league. Am I wrong?
I did not like being on the defensive side of 3rd and long when Jimmy Garoppolo was on the field.
Yeah.
Save for one key exception when Aaron Donald put him in the spin cycle. He was a thorn in the Rams' side.
He just couldn't get rid of him. So, yeah, I can't wait to see him go. We saw guys, Carson Wentz came through here. Baker Mayfield came through here. And Baker Mayfield is, doing well in Tampa. So maybe for Garoppolo, you get your start, you show and improve, you may be in the mix. Or who knows? But I just can't wait to see him go. I was always a fan from afar. Now I get to see him up close. So this will be fun.
Who else? Who else are you looking forward to seeing either for the first time or in a larger role than we're used to for the Rams?
Well, Blake Corum, if he gets extended run, that's going to be fun. And, we were talking about this about Kyren and how he surfs the hole and his football IQ. Blake Corum has that stuff that can make something out of nothing. He can bump off here, bump this guy, and keep running. So I'd like to see him with extended reps. More Joe Noteboom. Like I said, when he gave the too small thing on the screen, it's so funny. It's so funny. But just watching him get better, like you have another week to prove yourself again to this team, to this league, to everyone. It's another starter's opportunity. So same with Garoppolo, Boom, Corum, the young defensive players. I don't think Fisk and Verse get the week off, right? They're too young.
I think that's right.
Even if you're a Pro Bowler, you got to go.
Well, it goes to Stu's point. You only have so many inactives.
Right.
And as vital as they are to your operation in terms of seniority and bumps and bruises and tread on tires, I don't think they rate.
You got to play. So some other guys that, possibly haven't played that much, can't wait. But just those two guys, Boom, Garoppolo, Corum, let me see what you got on game day.
I'm going to go with Jordan Whittington. Again, not exactly the same as Blake Corum's situation, where he did get a little bit of extended run around early part of the season when Cooper and Napuka were both hurt and showed a little bit of what he can do. So we have an idea, but just between what he's been able to do on special teams and perhaps maybe getting the chance to, show more offensively, at least as a more regular part of the wide receiver rotation, I think it's something I'm looking forward to. And then maybe even if any of the younger corners get a chance, I mean, again, because of that roster math that we've been talking about, we'll see what that looks like as far as, who's up and who's not for the secondary. But if any of those guys get a chance, I'd be curious to see how that depth looks right now.
I'll go back to that in a second. I agree with your picks, Blake Corum, Jordan. I'd add Tutu to that mix. I would love to see Tyler Higbee get 5 catches, a touchdown in the second half off. I'd like to see him play some full speed, smash mouth football. Whatever rust is left over, I want him feeling fully integrated and back for the playoffs.
If Stafford hits him here on that little leak out, if he turns up, that's a problem. There's one guy out there.
He's running to the Intuit Dome.
That's big time. Oh, yeah.
So I kind of broke this up into 2 categories. You guys have touched on the ones that I feel like can impact this postseason. I also have an eye towards next season. This Sunday, and the name that I'm thinking of is former first-round pick Emmanuel Forbes, because not that you can have a one-game audition, but the Seattle Seahawks are going to be playing full speed on Sunday. And so if you can leave Inglewood this weekend having a better sense of what Forbes against DK Metcalf looks like, I think that's informative. I think that's worth something going into your offseason program. And I feel a bit of the same way. You mentioned the young corners. I think you're talking about Josh Wallace, Charles Woods, a couple of undrafted rookie corners, maybe Tyler Davis and Brennan Jackson, a couple of drafted members of this defense stepping into larger roles. But as much as anything, if you threw a dart on that waiver wire claim of Forbes, well, let's start to kind of see how close to the bullseye you might have been against a team that you're going to try and beat twice next year with or without him.
Mr. Forbes, meet Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, a little JSN in the slot too.
Follow him around as much as you can. I assume that the starters are going to play at corner for a little while, right? I hope they play. I hope Akello keeps playing. I hope Darius keeps playing, at least for a half, and then rotate guys in.
You can also have some guys who will have a helmet because that's how the math works out, but they're kind of break glass in case of emergency only type actives.
Yeah, because like you said, Seattle's going to be going full speed. They're going to be trying to win.
What about these Seahawks? They got a first-year head coach. They'd like to get to 10 wins. It feels like the Rams are playing against next year's 2025 Seahawks and also Geno Smith's pocketbook. He stands to make a lot of money this weekend.
$6 million, right? In incentives. He's going to go. I think 10 wins is always the goal. That's the benchmark of every coach. So if you're that coach, I'm sure you're going to be putting your, pedal to the metal trying to get there, and it sets you up for next season. So it would be fun if you could go out against one of your biggest rivals with a backup quarterback and keep them from 10 wins. But if I'm them, I'm definitely trying to get that victory down here to set myself up for 2025.
I will say with those incentives to play for, it sets up a good opportunity for a lot of those younger players or other players who are in smaller roles and maybe haven't seen as much playing time. Like if you want to show what you can do, well, here's an offense that's not going to pull any punches and try to go for everything with Geno and his incentives, and also just with that team as a whole trying to get that 10th win.
Doesn't this Sunday make you realize how razor thin the margin in the NFL really is? I mean, what's separating these two teams, one eliminated, the other clinched, is short yardage defense, a 4th down stop in overtime, and a 39-yard walk-off winner.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the difference right now between the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams.
And the strength of victory tiebreaker.
And then a 5th tiebreaker, strength of victory. But even that flips significantly if that game goes the other direction.
Wow.
All right, we teased it earlier. Let's finish with a few calendar turning reflections and projections. Best memories of 2024. Feel free to take this in any direction. Like, it doesn't even have to be football. If you had something personal that you want to tout, go for it. But I'm thinking individual or collective 24 fondest memories.
Rams specific, I'll start with Tyler Higbee. I mean, I know that's a pretty easy one, but torn ACL, torn MCL, meniscus, off-season shoulder surgery, like that could not have been a fun rehab experience, especially when he brings up that some days it was just him and Byron Cunningham at the facility back in Thousand Oaks at CLU when there are moving boxes and there's like just enough for them to basically do the rehab. Like that's a really tough deal. So for him to not only like come back from that, but score the go-ahead touchdown against the Jets, like that was really special to me. Just seeing him triumph over that and put himself back in position to be a contributor for this football team. And the other thing I would say too is just even getting more opportunities to be on this show. Like that's been a lot of fun for me. I appreciate both of you guys and being able to do this more often, and it's been a lot of fun.
Well, I thought you were going to say Indiana football. Stop.
Well, I thought he was going to.
If you're going to give me that soapbox.
When he started with the Rams specifically, I'm like, I know where this is going to land. And then he threw us the curveball.
Wow.
You said it, not me.
I guess it was it back in OTAs or minicamp, and we were marveling at number one, Jared Verse. That's what a first round end looks like, because we had forgotten, right? My God, this dude is huge. He talks. He looks the part. He is the part. Even going back to draft day when he called Fisk. Wow, this is going to be something special. And then jump to now, he's in the Pro Bowl. So, but I do remember that first day we're watching Fisk practice, and I'm like, look at all the grass he's tearing up. This kid is going to be something special. He's got 8 sacks now. And I do remember the first day. This is so funny. And I said Michael Hoyt is going to be so good for Verse because he's going to push him. That first day when they were battling to be first in the agility drills. So Hoyt's always first. Verse walked in front of him, and Hoyt didn't move. This is going to be fun. And sure enough, they're both leaders, and they're both making plays. So just that first day, watching those 3 guys go at it, and then seeing where they are now in going into the playoffs, and one's going to the Pro Bowl. Yeah. Wow. Unbelievable.
Not just the Pro Bowl, but I think we can safely assume Defensive Rookie of the Year now. I think he's clinched his case. We better not have to retract that statement. So if I'm not wrong, that means the last 2 first-round members of the Rams' defensive front have been Defensive Rookie of the Year, right?
Yes.
Aaron Donald, decade-long gap, Jared Verse.
Yes. And Kobe Turner.
Not first rounder, but
and Kobe Turner.
I'm with you.
Yes.
Let me see. I want to mention Kyren. He did it.
Yes.
Verse, you guys got it. Higbee, I'm with you. I'll throw the Cardi walk-off in week 3 against the Niners there. The block punt against Buffalo, and Puka's toe drag swag against Buffalo. Those are 2 of my fonder individual moments. How about New Year's resolutions? For the Rams, personal, are you guys New Year's resolutions people?
New Year's resolutions.
DeMarco, you crushed it in 24, by the way.
I did? What do you mean?
Everyone in my life has commented on just how physically fit you are and what a great year you had. And
really?
Yeah.
Smoke and mirrors, man. Yeah.
No, you put in the work.
I'm wearing
Good
more
for
black
you. Keep
these
it going.
days. Resolutions for this football team?
Yeah, go for it. 2025 resolution for the Los Angeles Rams.
But I'm starting to rethink this whole not playing guys in preseason stuff.
after 8 years.
Up for debate. I know. I'm just saying. Up for debate. Let's reevaluate that whole situation there. Yeah.
You want to play starters next August? Is that what you're saying?
Let's just have a conversation about it. Yeah. Let's just
Never
talk
in a
about it a
million
little bit
years
more.
would I have picked that. Okay. You'll have to explain more next. Stu, any resolutions?
Keeping with continuity.
Keeping with continuity.
What does that mean?
So
I feel like this is an offensive line comment.
well,
Or
a little bit, yeah. I
coaching
mean,
staff.
well, it could be both.
Coaching
I mean,
staff. I know.
don't
where
get me
you're
wrong.
going.
It's as fun as it is writing about the 50 to 75% turned over staff every offseason. No. Yeah, more with the offensive line or even just the secondary, but just some of the lessons learned there in terms of I give credit to the coaching staff when especially you look at like the center position especially and figuring out okay, like what's going to put this team in the best position to win moving forward. Same with the secondary. I mean, even for as well as Kobe was playing and when he got healthy, stuck with Akello opposite Darius at corner. So just sticking with that, which, I mean, again, they've already kind of applied and learned that lesson, it feels like. But even just keeping that as a resolution for 2025, I think would be beneficial.
So you're telling me you'd love to write the article that Chris Shula is the next head coach of the fill in the blank, but you'd selfishly prefer to write the headline, Chris Shula returns for second year as Rams defensive
I selfishly prefer that it would just be a copy and paste situation where there's no staff turnover.
I think I told you earlier this week, I've had a lot of people ask me, I'm sure you have too, like, is there any way you can keep Chris Shula's name out of the headlines? Like, don't mention him. Like, guys, for all the coaches the Rams have lost in the last 8 years, the one guy you weren't going to be able to hide within your four walls is the guy with the last name Shula.
Shula.
Yeah.
There's no
Kinda
hiding.
stands out.
Who's that?
I actually didn't look any farther into the future than just this playoff run for my New Year's resolution, which is score a first quarter touchdown in all 4 postseason games. Score a first quarter touchdown in all 4 postseason games.
In all 4 postseason games.
That's my New Year's resolution for the 20.
You have been dropping bars all season. See these subliminal shots. All 4 postseason games. I heard you there. Yeah.
I'm asking a reprieve to save chocolate for next week, just in case anyone is wondering.
Wait,
I feel like I think
you said.
I feel like I have to do that in front of MJD. If you want to grab me like a chocolate pretzel or something, I'll do it
you're so lucky.
to pay it off.
Okay.
I don't want to think anyone to think I'm dodging it, but
I got a box of C's candy coming. Yeah.
C's is pretty mild though, right?
Yeah, it depends. Depends on what you get in the box. Okay. Next time.
That was because the Rams have earned the right to clinch before Week 18. That'll do it for our Week 18 edition of Between the Horns, always presented by your Southern California Toyota dealers. We do hope to see you this weekend at SoFi Stadium and definitely Wild Card Weekend at the Rams house. Opponents, kickoff, all to be determined, but we will be here to cover it every step of the postseason. For Stu Jackson, DeMarco Farr, I'm JB Long. Let's go big in 2025.